Hello everybody, I'm Kamikow. We have breaking news right now out of Jerusalem. The open women's soccer game between the United States and Israel that was supposed to start at 6 p.m. local time will be delayed for the time being. Team Israel is stuck on the bus and we do not have much information at the time, but we'll be sure to keep you updated as we get more in. But for now, enjoy plenty of the Maccabi Media team's content coming at you from all over Israel over the last 2 weeks. Again, we'll be sure to update you as we get informed of the information, but tune in and we'll be at you very shortly. Canadian baseball players today as Israel World Baseball Classic head coach and former World Series champion Ian Kinsler hosted a mini clinic in Ra'anana.
Answer questions that they have, try to have a conversation about the game, see if they can learn something. And really when you have a short period of time like this with a baseball player, you just want to impact them in one way, whatever way that is. Just one thing that they can take from today that they can think about for the future and trying to get better at.
Well, all the athletes want the tips and trades of learning the game at the highest level. Kinsler's main focus for today, going back to the basics, the fundamentals.
We teach them something that's super simple that they never really thought of, and something that they can teach somebody else maybe, or something that can make them just a little bit more consistent. And it's really just about being consistent.
Well, look, it's always good to see American professional ball players, especially a star like Ian Kinsler, a nice Jewish boy, come over and lead Team Israel and participate teaching young kids here in Israel the game.
And just have fun and enjoy being out here. We're in a special place in Israel playing the sport we love, so I think that's really just the biggest part, just have fun and always learn, but just have fun out here.
An unforgettable hour for the athletes with one of the best Jewish baseball players of all time. Reporting from Ra'anana, Kamikow, Maccabi Media.
Using education and sport as a vehicle for peace between Arabs and Israelis. That's the mission of the Perez Center in Jaffa. The Maccabi USA Masters 45-plus men's soccer team and their children spent Friday learning about the way that soccer can change lives. They experienced firsthand the programming of the Perez Center and how it can break barriers, teach language, and bring different people together.
In the end, what I found was that we're all the same. You know, they may grow up in a different area, a different culture, speak a different language, but when they're on the soccer field, everyone's the same.
They played games like Schneek, Schnack, Schnook. I jumped in and encountered success, but while all good things must come to an end, the group was ready to move on to soccer activities. Now, each activity has a purpose, whether it's to teach language, create friendships, or build soccer skills. The bottom line is making peace and fostering friendships through sport.
To bring both sets of kids together and use soccer as the tool of peace is pretty incredible.
The Perez Center was founded in 1996 by Shimon Peres, the 8th Prime Minister of Israel. Last year, they engaged 2,000 youth from 26 Jewish and Arab communities. Their program approach can truly open minds and make a difference.
I think mostly being open-minded, like don't just have an opinion about someone without meeting them. Just meeting the other side and trying to play together can really change your perspective on people.
There was fun, there was growth, and there's a blueprint to impact lives moving forward. From the Perez Center in Jaffa, I'm Noam, Maccabi Media.
Good morning, everybody. Zach Gershman, joined alongside by Griffin Epstein and Noah Friedman. The team's getting ready to go to the bus for the game. We are going to be bringing you...
the organized blue-collar style. When he said he was recruiting his roster, that's what he was looking for in his players. In your hometown of Jerusalem, 3 goals. How awesome is this?
Yeah, it's a dream, you know.
Go get him, folks.
It's a party in the USA.
Yeah, baby, USA.
Yes, sir.
The fact that I'm Jewish, I feel more connected to the land itself. I think that's a really good aspect of Israel Connect.
Welcome to Tel Aviv, one of the most beautiful cities in the world.
Shalosh, Shtayim, Echad.
It's the last of the people who witnessed the history of the birth of Israel. Really, these are the people who built the country. Not a trust stranger.
First Jewish player for Egypt.
Thank you, donors, because now I'm able to explore Israel and learn a lot more about my heritage.
Here's the second half. Saul Moskowitz, and he scores, puts it into the left post, and he curves it in.
It's really a surreal experience, and what I've experienced so far is definitely once in a lifetime, and I couldn't be more grateful.
The game, and now he's back in transition. Olaf again with the ball, drives down, another layup for Olaf.
On behalf of the Open men's softball team, we can't say it enough, but we really thank you for the opportunity to be a part of this amazing tradition and this amazing program, and hope to be able to do that in the future as well.
I just want to thank the donors for helping make this opportunity possible. We have a number of players who just couldn't have been here if it wasn't for you, so thank you.
Thank you to the donors for making this possible. We're all having a really great trip so far.
Another chance for the United States to go out in front, and it's a goal. It's put in the 74th minute by Jacob Muchnick.
Thank you so much, Maccabi donors. It's a pleasure to be here and compete for the U.S.
Thank you to all the donors and everybody who helped make this amazing event possible.
Eden Singer is doing something no one has ever done at her school, at least as far back as anybody could remember.
Playing sports at Barrack has always meant more than just the sports. We've always been representing a Jewish community.
Singer will participate in the 21st Maccabiah, representing the United States in U18 soccer, and she won't be alone on the journey to Israel.
The ability to have other people around me that I know that are also from Barrack, that are also sharing the same experience that I am, is very helpful and very assuring.
Jack M. Barrack Hebrew Academy is a school with rich history. Founded in 1946, it was the nation's first ever pluralistic Jewish secondary school, with now 75% of its student body playing in athletics. And while that may sound impressive, for the first time in school history, they'll be sending not one, not two, not three, but 4 athletes to the 21st Maccabiah. Along with Singer, fellow junior Jenna Ufberg, sophomore Isaac Dahan, and 8th grader Michaela Trachtenberg were selected as members of the Maccabi USA delegation.
I think that these 4 athletes playing their respective sports is a great representation of what we can offer both as a school, academically, but then also as an athletic program.
I think it also speaks to the fact that you can be a high-level athlete at a Jewish day school.
This is Jack M. Barrack Hebrew Academy, a school nestled in Bryn Mawr, a small town about 15 miles west of Philadelphia.
We're Zionist Jewish Day School. We have been since our founding in 1946, and we are committed to raising the next generation of leaders who are committed to Am Yisrael.
We've learned about the Maccabi games in school, so this is just taking that to the next level. What they taught us about it had an influence on what we did with it.
Our teammates are our best friends. It's not like that at a lot of other schools.
As the youngest of Barrack's 4 delegates, Trachtenberg will be playing on the USA's first ever under-16 girls basketball team.
I'm one out of 12 people or so on my team, and you just see USA and it's amazing, and nobody else gets to wear USA except for me and a few other kids.
Her great-grandfather played soccer in the Maccabiah during the 1930s.
It's really special because the line just continues and my grandpa gets to see me, and then hopefully it'll carry on, and it's just really special that I get to be a part of this.
Dahan will also have family ties to this year's games. His mom, Naomi, will join the U18 squash team as an assistant coach.
I love the sport so much. It's been such a big part of me. It's I blink and I go from the kid who's just watching his brother play to, oh my God, I'm going to the Maccabi. Being in Maccabi alone is enough of an experience to say that I succeeded.
We hear about so much is that Jews aren't athletes, and to have this incredible opportunity for Jewish athletes is really inspiring, and I'm very proud of Isaac.
Unfortunately, there won't be a lacrosse division due to the lack of other teams worldwide, but Ufberg is nevertheless proud to have been selected to the roster.
It was really exciting. Eden and I were in Israel together, and we were actually on the bus with all our friends when we found out, and we just got so excited and started celebrating together.
With the selection of these 4 athletes, the administration sees this as just the beginning.
They would come back on a personal level with a deeper connection to Israel for themselves, with a deeper connection to the Jewish people, and they'll bring that energy, that pride, and that excitement into our halls.
And I'd love to see this be the stepping stone for more of our students to go to Israel and participate in these games, because I think that I know that we have the talent to do so.
update right now from Jerusalem. Team Israel is currently in the locker room. They have gotten to the Kraft campus, and the game will resume around 7 p.m. local time. We just are waiting for warm-ups. That'll take about a half hour, and then United States and Israel will kick off at 7 p.m. local time, 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Stick with us for the next 30 minutes as we'll bring you more coverage from the 21st Maccabi and kickoff again at 7 p.m. local time.
American and Canadian baseball players today as Israel World Baseball Classic head coach and former World Series champion Ian Kinsler hosted a mini clinic in Ra'anana.
Answer questions that they have, try to have a conversation about the game, see if they can learn something. And really when you have a short period of time like this with a baseball player, you just want to impact them in one way, whatever way that is. Just one thing that they can take from today that they can think about for the future and trying to get better at.
Well, all the athletes want the tips and trades of learning the game at the highest level. Kinsler's main focus for today, going back to the basics, the fundamentals.
We teach them something that's super simple that they never really thought of, and something that they can teach somebody else maybe, or something that can make them just a little bit more consistent. And it's really just about being consistent.
Well, look, it's always good to see American professional ball players, especially a star like Ian Kinsler, a nice Jewish boy, come over and lead Team Israel and participate teaching young kids here in Israel the game.
And just have fun and enjoy being out here. We're in a special place in Israel playing the sport we love, so I think that's really just the biggest part, just have fun and always learn, but just have fun out here.
An unforgettable hour for the athletes with one of the best Jewish baseball players of all time. Reporting from Ra'anana, Evan Kamikow, Maccabi Media.
Using education and sport as a vehicle for peace between Arabs and Israelis. That's the mission of the Perez Center in Jaffa.
The Maccabi USA Masters 45-plus men's soccer team and their children spent Friday learning about the way that soccer can change lives. They experienced firsthand the programming of the Perez Center and how it can break barriers, teach language, and bring different people together.
In the end, what I found was that we're all the same. You know, they may grow up in a different area, a different culture, speak a different language, but when they're on the soccer field, everyone's the same.
They played games like Schnick, Schnack, Schnoot. I jumped in and encountered success, but while all good things must come to an end, the group was ready to move on to soccer activities. Now, each activity has a purpose, whether it's to teach language, create friendships, or build soccer skills. The bottom line is making peace and fostering friendships through sport.
To bring both sets of kids together and use soccer as the tool of peace is pretty incredible.
The Perez Center was founded in 1996 by Shimon Peres, the 8th Prime Minister of Israel. Last year, they engaged 2,000 youth from 26 Jewish and Arab communities. their program approach can truly open minds and make a difference.
I think mostly being open-minded, like don't just have an opinion about someone without meeting them. So meeting the other side and trying to play together can really change your perspective on people.
There was fun, there was growth, and there's a blueprint to impact lives moving forward. From the Perez Center in Jaffa, I'm Noam, Maccabi Media.
Good morning, everybody. Zach Gershman, joined alongside by Griffin Epstein and Noah Friedman. The team's getting ready to go to the bus for the game. We are going to be bringing you... the organized blue-collar style. When he said he was recruiting his roster, that's what he was looking for in his players. In your hometown of Jerusalem, 3 goals. How awesome is this?
Yeah, it's a dream, you know.
Go get him, folks. The person invited, I wanted to make sure he was here to say hello.
It's a party in the USA.
Yeah, baby, USA.
Yes, sir.
The fact that I'm Jewish, I feel more connected to the land itself. I think that's a really good aspect of Israel Connect.
Welcome to Tel Aviv, one of the most beautiful cities in the world.
It's a list of the people who witnessed the history of the birth of Israel. Really, these are the people who built the country. Not a stranger.
Thank you, donors, because now I'm able to explore Israel and learn a lot more about my heritage.
Here's the second half. Saul Moskowitz, and he scores, puts it into the left post, and he curves it in.
It's really a surreal experience, and what I've experienced so far is definitely once in a lifetime, and I couldn't be more grateful.
The game, and now he's back in transition. Olaf again with the ball, drives down, another layup for Olaf.
On behalf of the Open men's softball team, we can't say it enough, but we really thank you for the opportunity to be a part of this amazing tradition and this amazing program, and hope to be able to do that in the future as well.
I just want to thank the donors for helping make this opportunity possible. We have a number of players who just couldn't have been here if it wasn't for you, so thank you.
Thank you to the donors for making this possible. We're all having a really great trip so far.
Another chance for the United States to go out in front, and it's a goal. It's put in the 74th minute by Jacob Muchnick.
Thank you so much, Maccabi donors. It's a pleasure to be here and compete for the U.S.
Thank you to all the donors and everybody who helped make this amazing event possible.
Eden Singer is doing something no one has ever done at her school, at least as far back as anybody could remember.
Playing sports at Barrack has always meant more than just the sports. We've always been representing a Jewish community.
Singer will participate in the 21st Maccabiah, representing the United States in U18 soccer, and she won't be alone on the journey to Israel.
The ability to have other people around me that I know that are also from Barrack, that are also sharing the same experience that I am, is very helpful and very assuring.
Jack M. Barrack Hebrew Academy is a school with rich history. Founded in 1946, it was the nation's first ever pluralistic Jewish secondary school, with now 75% of its student body playing in athletics. And while that may sound impressive, for the first time in school history, they'll be sending not one, not two, not three, but 4 athletes to the 21st Maccabiah. Along with Singer, fellow junior Jenna Ufberg, sophomore Isaac Dahan, and 8th grader Michaela Trachtenberg were selected as members of the Maccabi USA delegation.
I think that these 4 athletes playing their respective sports is a great representation of what we can offer both as a school, academically, but then also as an athletic program.
I think it also speaks to the fact that you can be a high-level athlete at a Jewish day school.
This is Jack M. Barrack Hebrew Academy, a school nestled in Bryn Mawr, a small town about 15 miles west of Philadelphia.
We're a Zionist Jewish day school. We have been since our founding in 1946, and we are committed to raising the next generation of leaders who are committed to Am Yisrael.
We've learned about the Maccabi games in school, so this is just taking that to the next level. What they taught us about it had an influence on what we did with it. Our teammates are our best friends. It's not like that at a lot of other schools.
As the youngest of Barrack's 4 delegates, Trachtenberg will be playing on the USA's first ever under-16 girls basketball team.
I'm one out of 12 people or so on my team, and you just see USA and it's amazing, and nobody else gets to wear USA except for me and a few other kids.
Her great-grandfather played soccer in the Maccabiah during the 1930s.
It's really special because the line just continues and my grandpa gets to see me, and then hopefully it'll carry on, and it's just really special that I get to be a part of this.
Dahan will also have family ties to this year's games. His mom, Naomi, will join the U18 squash team as an assistant coach.
I love the sport so much. It's been such a big part of me. It's I blink and I go from the kid who's just watching his brother play to, oh my God, I'm going to the Maccabi. Being in Maccabi alone is enough of an experience to say that I succeeded.
We hear about so much is that Jews aren't athletes, and to have this incredible opportunity for Jewish athletes is really inspiring, and I'm very proud of Isaac.
Unfortunately, there won't be a lacrosse division due to the lack of other teams worldwide, but Ufberg is nevertheless proud to have been selected to the roster.
It was really exciting, Eden and I were in Israel together, and we were actually on the bus with all our friends when we found out, and we just got so excited and started celebrating together.
With the selection of these 4 athletes, the administration sees this as just the beginning.
They would come back on a personal level with a deeper connection to Israel for themselves, with a deeper connection to the Jewish people, and they'll bring that energy, that pride, and that excitement into our halls.
And I'd love to see this be the stepping stone for more of our students to go to Israel and participate in these games, because I think that I know that we have the talent to do so.
Live from Jerusalem, the top two teams in open women's soccer at the Maccabiah face off as the United States take on Israel for a spot at the top of the table. I'm Noam Watt. My partner is Noah Friedman. Thank you for joining us for this broadcast presented by Maccabi Media. Noah, we have a great match on our hands today.
Yeah, that's right, Noah. We've got the top two teams in the group. We have Israel, who has conceded no goals. They've scored 13. The U.S. has conceded no goals. They've scored 5. Something might have to give here today, but what I know right now, Noam, is that I'm excited to do this broadcast with you.
Yeah, absolutely. Both these teams really strong defensively and strong on the offensive side as well. Just all around complete teams. For more on the United States, let's send it down to Evan Kamikow.
Thanks, Noah. Well, one thing's for sure, this United States team has not played with each other that much prior to the start of the Maccabiah. However, Coach Jeff Katz has said that this team has a lot of connections. He brought 4 players from the Maccabiah games in Budapest, 2 from MIT, and 5 of the girls played together at Amherst College. Now, Coach Katz said that the leadership as well as the prior connections have bowed to a great team chemistry and a 2-0 start. Guys, back to you.
That's right, Evan, and we've had a bit of a delay on our hands, starting a little over an hour late because Israel had a bus issue. They were delayed, they were stuck in traffic, so we were supposed to kick off at 6 local time, but now, just after 7, the teams have taken the field. We have a gorgeous sunny night at the Kraft Family Sports Campus, and we have a great matchup on our hands. Israel comes in at 3-0, the United States at 2-0. Noah, what are the keys to the game for the Stars and Stripes?
Yeah, well, we talked with head coach Jeff Katz yesterday. We talked to him for about 45 minutes. It was a really in-depth conversation. He didn't give us anything tactically, which is obviously a key sign. But what he did tell us was that the defensive intensity is going to have to be leveled up against this Israel team. Israel, of course, scored 8 goals against Argentina. And we're going to show you guys right now what the field of play is going to look like.
Yeah, and how about our player to watch tonight? Who was that?
Yeah, our player to watch, presented by 76 Capital, is going to be number 25, Rachel Dillette. She's a forward 5'3" rising junior from the University of Wisconsin by way of Whitefish Bay. She had 2 goals and 1 assist against Brazil back on Friday. We were covering that for Maccabi Media. And one of the cool stories, she was at Camp Randall, which is the football stadium in Wisconsin. She was at a summer camp before she came over there. She scored this really amazing goal, and the head coach of the Wisconsin women's soccer team, Paula Wilkins, started recruiting her immediately. She had a really nice goal against Brazil in the 46th minute, and she's a very lethal player from the outside.
Yeah, Dillette was part of a squad that in Mexico City in 2019 in the Pan Am Maccabi Games won gold. So there was some of the team was in Mexico City for the Pan Am Games. And like Evan talked about, a number of players as well in Budapest for the European Games.
And one of the things, too, Noam, that is just so interesting, not only about this open women's soccer team, but about a lot of the teams that we've spoken to at the Maccabiah, is the fact that they come together so quickly for that one common goal. But, of course, we are here in Jerusalem at the Maccabiah, and it's about Jewish outreach through sports. And it's just so wonderful to be here, so great to broadcast. I mean, look at this picture that you're seeing right now with the sun setting here at 7 o'clock local time in Jerusalem. The two teams that are topping the group right now in Israel and in the United States. It's going to be a really fun night here from the Kraft Family Sports Campus. Noam.
United States in the navy blues, red trim, and Israel, the white jerseys and the baby blue bottoms. Israel will have the kickoff, and we're underway from Jerusalem. The host nation, Israel, they won the Maccabiah Open Women's title in 2017. They beat the United States. A bit of a revenge game tonight for the United States. Ball played to the near side. It's taken in control by the U.S. Right in front of us, fought for by Shayna Salas, but Israel retains possession.
Yeah, already, Noam, we've got some physicality right here, right in front of us. It's going to be very interesting to see how these two teams trade blows.
Nice spin move there by Arezi for Israel, but she eventually loses it. United States back in control. First few minutes we expect to be a bit of a feeling out process. These are, like we've mentioned numerous times, the top 2 teams in the tournament. 5-team tournament. Israel leads, then U.S. right behind them, then Canada, Brazil, and Argentina.
Yeah, earlier today, Noam, we got to see Canada take home a 4-1 victory over the Argentinians, so that's why there was that switch, with Canada now placing third in that Stage A group.
First touch of the game for the United States goalkeeper, that's Mika Fisher from Amherst College. She was a first-team All-American in college. She boots it downfield past midfield. Ball's loose, and it goes to Taylor Cohen, and the ball drifts into the corner. It will be an Israel throw-in. Taylor Cohen, she scored against Brazil. She's one of the best players on the team. She's so good that she actually plays in Germany, but she doesn't have a big ego at all. Head coach Jeff Katz told us that Cohen volunteered to play anywhere on the field. She says this experience is all about playing as a team and not personal accolades, which is sometimes what you'll see in Europe.
Yeah, that's right, Noam. 83 games played at WashU in St. Louis, 48 goals, 124 total points. One of 7 players in the entire history of WashU sports to be named an All-American.
On the far side, Kessler fights for it, and the United States will have their first corner of the game.
Yeah, Noam, it'll be very interesting to see what kind of play that is drawn up by head coach Jeff Katz and company. The set pieces are something that we're going to definitely emphasize here on this broadcast.
Yeah, absolutely. And for teams like this, as the corner's lofted in, punched away by the Israeli goalkeeper. But for teams like this, which haven't played together a lot, these set pieces are probably difficult. They haven't necessarily had enough time to instill play sets, more so just concepts. And so on a corner like that, ball was in the 6-yard box, but the Israeli keeper was able to get a fist on it and punch it to safety.
Yeah, Coach Katz talked about it. It's all about the fundamentals, going back to the set pieces, going back to the throw-ins. Everything that is dummied down for this team, they've been able to kind of stretch the floor and be able to be successful in that regard.
United States with possession in the corner. Left foot cross in from Jordan Snyder is cleared away to safety. On the back line, Tasha Friedman, one of the veterans on this team, she said this might be her last Maccabiah, so let's make it count. Friedman wearing 34 with the headband as the United States clears out of bounds and Israel will take over.
And we talked with her right before we boarded the team bus, and I just wanted to emphasize that we are not related.
Same last names, but not related. But hey, you're both Jewish, so in a sense, relatively similar, huh?
We all are.
Israel's back line with it. They go to the near side to Shahar Nekev. Nekev takes a couple touches down the sideline. Feeds it up through the legs of Arezi. Ball hangs in bounds and is cleared up by the United States. And it's Taylor Cohen battling for it. But Israel grabs possession.
Yeah, pretty fast pace here to start, Noam. We've seen both teams go into the other zone, and we've seen both goalkeepers get touches on the ball early.
No true opportunities yet, just a couple minutes in. So the United States and Israel meet for the first time in group play in what could be a gold medal matchup. We'll see how this one plays out. United States head coach Jeff Katz told us yesterday that he thinks if both these teams play to their true potential, he believes in the United States to win. He thinks that they are the best team in the field.
Yeah, and that's why one of the keys that we talked about was winning the one-on-ones on the wing. When I was watching the Brazil game, Molly Kessler had the ball a bunch of different times down that left flank. It'll be interesting to see how the Israeli defenders respond to something like that with the U.S.
And there's a one-on-one ball that the United States did win down the left wing. It was Rachel Dillette. She got fouled, so the United States will have a free kick from substantial distance. But right on cue, they win a one-on-one battle on the wing.
Exactly. So we'll have to see if the United States is able to make the Israelis tired, and we'll have to see if the Israelis can counterpunch back.
We'll talk as the game moves on about the strategy that Jeff Katz wants to employ with this team. He's the associate head coach at MIT. We'll get a look at him at the next break and play. But here's a ball in, shot on goal and saved. First true chance of the day, saved by Bylan of Israel.
Yeah, that was Maggie Lena on the shot, the Santa Monica, California native. She was able to get in space in the box. The ball was able to drop down, and she had the first true goal opportunity for the United States.
So we saw Bylan get tested, immediately make a save up above her head in the midfield. A couple of collisions as the ball is eventually cleared back down to Bylan, wearing number 1 for Israel.
Yeah, Israel coached by Erez Belfer. We got that information a little bit before the game. It'll be interesting to see how they utilize their number 10, Eden Avital, who has 5 goals in 3 games for the Israelis during this Maccabi campaign.
Yeah, and for number 10, Avital, she scored 4 goals in 1 game. So 4 goals in 1 game against Canada in their opener, and then 1 against Brazil. That's number 10, Eden Avital for Israel.
When we talked with Friedman before we got on the bus, she had told us that yesterday's game against Argentina, they had underestimated the opponent because Israel had beaten Argentina 8-0, and the United States ended up only coming out with a 2-0 victory. So there's a lot that both teams have to look forward to here in terms of trying to get back to their regular strength.
Yeah, and I certainly don't think, as we see Friedman play the ball out of bounds, I don't think the United States will be underestimating Israel tonight. Now, granted, the U.S. is in a stretch of 3 games in 4 days. That's an absolutely grueling schedule. But in an international tournament like this, a condensed 2-week schedule, you got to play a lot of games in a short number of days. So Jeff Katz told us one of his keys was managing the rotations. So yesterday, a couple players were inactive, and that was an honor to them because it means that they'll have more chance to play today against an opponent who the United States thinks is tougher in Israel. Fortunately, as well, we have an evening start tonight. Talk to me about the impact of playing at night rather than in the middle of the day.
Well, you set me right up for it. When we talked to Katz last night, he told us that he was so happy that the 6 o'clock start was implemented because the 4 o'clock start, the temperature is so different. The sun is very high in the air, but he told us that in the second half he would have his long sleeves on, but we had that hour-long delay, Noam, so he might have those long sleeves on right before we know it.
Yeah, you're right about that. See if we can get a closer look at Jeff Katz during another break, the associate head coach at Massachusetts Institute of Technology.
The engineers.
More frequently known as MIT. But the pronunciation guide wrote it out, in case we didn't know. United States with the ball deep, and they'll get another corner kick.
Yeah, Noam, I really love how active Maggie Lena has been so far. She had that earlier chance when the ball dropped down in the box, and right here she wins another corner for the United States.
Second corner of the day, just about 9 minutes, a little more than 9 minutes in. Corner taken on the far side, an inside bender, headed just wide of the goal. Off the United States, it'll be a goal kick, but that was a really good chance. Looked like the United States had a couple of unmarked players at the back post.
Yes, it looked like Becca Rosen was the one who may have gotten a touch on it. The midfielder, 5'9", she graduated. She is originally from Port Washington, New York, by way of Brown and Johns Hopkins. She's also one of those players that you talked about, Noam, who won that gold medal in the 2019 Maccabi as well.
Nice touch here from the United States. A shot on goal. It's in the back of the net. Maggie Lena nets the first goal of the evening for the United States. A rocket.
And boy, Noam, did we tee that up. The best player on this pitch right now has been none other than the 5'6" graduate, Santa Monica, California native Maggie Lena. Absolute strike from the outside the box. She got all power to that from her right foot. If you take a look at the other replay, no chance given for Amit Bellin to make that save as she took it into the right corner.
Yeah, and Jeff Katz told us yesterday, there's a number of players on this team who can really drill the ball. Right there, we saw it. Opportunistic. You have a shooting lane, get the ball on your right foot, fire away, and right there, the Israeli goalie, Bylin, had absolutely no chance. That ball was way past her. United States looking for a long ball down the right wing. Cohen giving chase. Bylin way out of her net. She's going to body Cohen and win a goal kick.
As if the United States couldn't settle for just one. They were trying to go for 2 right away. They surprised the Israeli back line with that through ball and didn't come to fruition.
You'll see the United States be patient offensively. Jeff Katz was telling us that a lot of times in soccer you'll hear, you have space, go, go, go. But he questions, why is that a common notion in soccer? Because just because you have space doesn't mean there's a play to be made. Sometimes it's good to stay back and see the space in front of you, watch the play develop, and be patient.
To take a look at Stava Rezi, who just had that incredible chance to get Israel on the board. with that attack. She was trying to go through the legs of multiple U.S. defenders, and that's the reason why Israel right now is set up for their first corner kick of the game.
First corner of the day taken from that far corner. Outswinging ball finds its way into the box. Low shot driven and deflected to the near sideline as it's chased down and goes out of bounds. It'll be a throw in for Israel.
Yeah, just more emphasis on what Coach Katz talked to us about, the defensive intensity that needed to be played. Great job defending on that corner kick.
There's a header flicked in by Israel. That was Roni Levy, controlled easily by the United States. Take a look at Jeff Katz, the United States head coach. He's the associate head coach at MIT. He coached the USA to gold at the 19 Euro Games in Budapest. And he's also a fifth grade teacher in Brookline, Massachusetts. We'll talk more as well about his coaching and teaching philosophies and how those align.
Yeah, you just opened up a can of worms, Noam. I'm very eager to talk about some of the connections, especially between the U.S. Open men's and women's soccer teams.
1-0 early on. United States gets on the board courtesy of a screamer from Maggie Lena in the 10th minute. So far, United States has had the majority of the chances. One shot on goal that was saved, and then one that found the back of the net. Mika Fisher plays it to her left back. That's Kayla Ross. Ross up the field into some traffic as Rachel Dillette loses it out of bounds. It'll be a throw-in for Israel.
First time we've mentioned Kayla Ross's name, Noam. She was one of the goal scorers in yesterday's game, scored a 60th minute goal against Argentina. Defender 5'10", senior from Atlanta, Georgia, Boston University product.
Foul in the middle of the field. Israel puts it back into play on their back line. Coming towards us, wearing the captain's arm sleeve, is Shahar Nekev. She scored 2 goals against Argentina. Israel opened play with a 4-0 win against Canada on July 15th. Eden Avital, like we talked about, 4 goals in that one. And then on the 17th, they beat Argentina 8-0. Asia Durskin, 2 goals. And Shahar Nekev, 2 goals. And then just yesterday, they beat Brazil 1-0. So 3 games in 3 days for Israel. This is their third of that stretch, and this is actually their last game in group play.
Yeah, it'll be really interesting, Noam, to see how the Israelis fare against the United States with the U.S. team having played 1 less game. Israel, of course, very dominant in the 3 that you mentioned, but the United States still hasn't conceded. That's the first time that Israel has conceded in this tournament.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised to see some fatigue from the Israelis. First of all, like we talked about, their third game in 3 days. And second of all, they had an hour and 10-minute bus ride here. I mean, they expected to get here for a 6 p.m. kickoff. They didn't get here until 6:30. They didn't even arrive at the field until 6:30. So that's a long bus ride, cramped into a bus, not able to stretch, not able to get loose. When they finally do get here, it's go, go, go. You got to get ready quickly because this game had to start. There's a through ball down the right wing. Cohen tries to chase it down, but it's going to roll out of bounds on the fast artificial turf here at the Kraft Family Sports Campus.
Yeah, Shayna Salas looking for her teammate down the right flank. Did a great job of trying to get a little bit too much power to it. Cohen, very fast player, one of the only professionals on this team, but she couldn't get to that one.
Goal kick played short by Israel. Haven't seen a big leg yet by their goalie. See what Israel tries to do offensively. It's been a bit of a disjointed attack so far, and the U.S. prides themselves on their defense, their back line incredibly strong, but Israel's going to have to generate some chances regardless.
Just based off of paper, Noam, Stavarezi, number 9, and Eden Avital, number 10, are the 2 that have really given Israel this momentum in this tournament. And Stavarezi already had produced a really nice attack by herself, so we'll have to see if those 2 players are the ones that might give Israel a break.
Ball played from the back line to the forwards. That was Lena giving it an attempt. Ball still loose there, and now it's controlled by the United States. Cross to Salas. Salas makes a move, tries to give a through ball, but it's intercepted by the Israeli defense. Salas was searching for Dalit. Now Dalit on her left foot gives it up. Tried to give and go from Salas, but didn't get back to her. It'll go out of bounds for a throw-in. Tell me about the United States philosophy on throw-ins.
Yeah, on the throw-ins, Jeff Katz talked about it. It's all about sticking with the fundamentals. It's crazy to think that training would happen on throw-ins, but it's really crucial. Katz called it unacceptable if the United States was to have a throw-in and they were to lose possession immediately on the throw-in. He emphasizes that in practice, and so far the United States has done really well so far in these first 18 minutes.
Yeah, and he joked with us. He said, why would I teach this team throw-ins when they probably learned it 15 years ago? But like you said, it's inexcusable for him, for his team to make a mistake on a throw-in, to lose possession, and he even has concepts off of throw-ins that he likes to run, so he was instilling those with his team as well. In the right corner, it's Tasha Friedman. Ball kicks off her foot and goes out of bounds, so it'll be a throw-in for Israel.
Noam, I really liked the communication just now by Mika Fisher, pointing to the fact that there was an Israeli defender coming up upon Tasha Friedman, and Tasha was able to clear that ball out of play and not try to force the issue.
Nekev will throw it in for the Israelis. Ball caroms around, eventually controlled by the home team. It's Shani David. She plays it back to her goalkeeper, Bylan, with a little bit of pressure on her. United States keeping the pressure up. I think we'll see a bunch of that all game, and here's a chance. Ball's controlled down. Eventually flicks to Maggie Lena. Another goal from distance. 2 already for Lena, and the United States lead 2-0 early on.
Noam again. Maggie Lena strikes. She's able to get the rebound off of the block from Cohen. She's able to put it through. It's a nutmeg of a goal for Lena. 2 strikes from outside the box, and she was able to get enough power on it and get another chance that the United States has to put themselves in front. It's a brace for Lena, and we're not even 20 minutes into this game.
Impeccable technique there from Lena. One-touch ball. I mean, that ball came to her. She kept it low. She drove it hard, and she drove it to the outside of the net, where, again, there was just no chance for Bylan to make a play. It's already 2-0 for the United States. And if I'm Israel, I'm probably a little bit shocked right now. Hadn't conceded a goal up to this point, and now 2 already in the first 20 minutes of play.
And just going back to that, that was all Taylor Cohen. She's not going to get credit for an assist on that one. I mean, she might, because she was the last to touch the ball before it caromed off. But Lena, very good vision. She was able to find the right place at the right time.
Ball floated in by Israel, easily controlled by Mika Fisher. Going to see a lot of Taylor Cohen tonight. Again, not about the personal accolades for her, but more about helping her team in any way possible to get the win here.
One of the things I love is to tell stories of people who are in the real world in Maccabi. Taylor Cohen right now, she works full-time as a marketing assistant at the Paragon Marketing Group. It's a sports agency. So, I mean, she plays soccer. It's great, but she also has a job in the real world as well.
Ball played from Dalit to Lena. Goes for the first offside of the day. You know, no, I've always wondered how these teams communicate with officials at international games like the Maccabi or like the Olympics or like the World Cup, because they don't necessarily all speak the language, and a lot of these games do get incredibly tense, and the United States even told us yesterday they had a goal taken off the board late in the first half because of a questionable call, and they told us they expect the officiating to be a little bit Israel favored tonight as well because they're the home team. But language barriers, I really do wonder how that comes into play in games like tonight.
Yeah, I think, too, we talked with Tasha Friedman about it. She mentioned that it's not anything that they're going to have to worry about. There's going to be things that are out of their control, and so they're going to have to just go out there and play. And right now they have themselves a 2-0 lead. They can kind of start to relax a little bit but not let up, because Coach Katz would not like that at all.
In a few minutes, we'll hear from our sideline reporter, Evan Kamikow, about the controllables within this United States squad. But for right now, it's Israel on attack. Still looking to generate some chances as the United States defense just flying around right there. It was Dalit who knocked it out of bounds. She's dangerous outside the box, but like we've seen, also a valuable asset on defense.
Just looking at the formation right now, Noam, this back four for the United States has been very good here.
But here's a chance for the Israelis. Eventually cleared away by United States. That was Shachar Nekev, who had a chance to control it in the box but couldn't make anything happen from there.
I think we almost just did the announcer's jinx, Noam, but in the opposite kind of way.
So loose ball just past the 18-yard box, taken by the United States and played wide. But Israel controls again. See if they strike. Set a nice back pressure from Rebecca Rosen. The midfielder Rosen, strong on the ball there, gets bumped to the ground. Referee tells her to get up. Shot from distance, easily controlled by Mika Fisher. Evan, how about some more on the controllables from the U.S. side?
Yeah, no, one of the interesting things that when we talked to Coach Jeff Katz, he said that there are things that the team can control and they can't control. Some of the things that they can control include bad calls not going their ways, getting pushed around, but things that they can control is their play on the field. One thing is for sure that Coach Katz made them do was write down a list of what they couldn't control and threw that in the trash. Noam, back to you.
Yeah, Coach Katz really likes these notes. Like you said, he had them write down things they can't control, crumple it up, throw it in the trash. Also, before the tournament, he had them write down on a sticky note why they are here. Why is it important to be in this Maccabiah games? And that was in an effort to center the players, make them realize the moment, and also just put into perspective the awesomeness, truly awesomeness, of playing in the Maccabiah, playing in a situation where everybody around you is Jewish.
Yeah, that's right, Noam. It just goes to show that, like I said, this is the Maccabiah. This is the fact that we all came together. We're all Jewish. We have that one common goal of Jewish outreach, our love for Israel, making sure that we are all united by that front as well.
And Noah, to cut in really quickly, Coach Katz also wanted to make sure that they're here for the right reasons. A big thing about the Maccabiah is a sense of community, not only as your team, but as the whole Jewish community itself in Israel.
Yeah, that's a very good point, Evan.
Now back to gameplay, 2-0 United States in the 24th minute.
Noam, just early on here, what I've seen is that when we talked to Coach Katz, he was telling us about the formation and what it was kind of going to be like. He called it being annoyingly patient with the ball, wanting to keep the ball possession, staying connected. That's what has transpired here so far in these first 25 minutes, in my opinion.
Yeah, he said the ball is either bait or the ball is a weapon. You can either use it to draw the defense in a way that you can create chances, or, as we've seen twice from Maggie Lena, use the ball at your feet, strike, and attack. So use the ball as either bait or a weapon.
And then also, too, Noam, with the fact that they've been playing defense, there have been two kinds of ways that Coach Katz has preached the defense. He's been calling for presses, and he's been calling for traps. We've seen both of those, especially by the back four.
Yeah, and the goal with that is just to continue to frustrate the opponent. Early on, really haven't seen many chances from the Israelis, and that's what Jeff Katz wants. Israel clears the ball out of bounds. Throw-in will be taken by Jordan Snyder. She goes to the middle of the field. Natalie Landau can't control, but eventually United States flicks it into the box, and it's cleared away to relative safety by the Israelis. But Tasha Friedman comes up and plays it from her back line. And Israel will control with the goalie. That's Bylan. Got a good look at Bylan there wearing the fluorescent green. Goalkeepers will typically wear a bright color, and the color never matches the rest of their squad.
That's right, Mika Fisher going with the yellow for the United States as well. And it's cool to see her get the start. Of course, Evan said it at the top. 5 of these players for the United States attend or have attended Amherst College. So Fisher showing out right there for pride of Massachusetts.
Nice ball played from the United States on the right wing. There goes Jordan Snyder. Snyder on her right foot. Gets bumped in the box. But the ball dribbles out of bounds for a goal kick.
Yeah, that was good defense by Noam Mattel, the backline defender for Israel. Gives her a little nudge in the box, but gets a little bit of ball as well.
Yeah, great shot down there on the sidelines from Neal Slotkin. You can see in the background the sun has gone down. The lights are on. One of the first night games that we have covered for Maccabi Media. In the middle of the field, Rebecca Rosen seems like she's cramping up a little bit for the United States. I think she's going to play through it. And on the far side, Israelis with it. They play a ball down the sidelines, eventually taken by the United States. U.S. winning a lot of these 50-50 balls. Israel really struggling to gain much control of possession. And here's the back line of Israel playing it. They have to play quickly and they have to play cleanly because these United States attackers, led by, you see 28, Taylor Cohen there, they're relentless. Constantly hunting for loose balls, hunting for mistakes, looking to pounce at any opportunity. And the United States team really was looking forward to this game. No, they dominated the European games in Budapest. I think they outscored teams 33-0 as they ran the gauntlet through that field. They came here, they're hoping to have some more competition. A through ball there, nicely deflected by Noam Atel, nice name for the Israeli. But the United States, Jeff Katz told us, they want to roll, they want to compete, they want to tackle, they want to face the best of the best. And right now, they're playing like the best of the best, just dominating early on. It's 2-0 United States.
Let's see what this attack produces, Noam. I think that Mika Fisher throw was really good.
Yeah, U.S. looking for a lot of through balls. Israeli defense so far doing a nice job of defending them, getting a foot on them wherever possible and preventing these through balls from getting through.
Well, they don't call it a through ball for nothing, Noam.
Good one. Just a picture-perfect night here in Jerusalem. Another day where there was not a single cloud in sight all day long. Temperatures reaching about the 90s. Right now they've dropped probably a good 10 or 15 degrees. Just beautiful weather for soccer.
Yep, it was 88 degrees, Noam, at kickoff, and now we've gone down about 4 degrees. The wind was gusting up to about 18 miles an hour, but has since settled a little bit here, so we'll see how that affects play too.
Long ball played in by the Israelis. Bounced off the head of Jordan Snyder. See if that goes for a throw-in. Yep. Right near the corner flag.
Snyder's got an interesting story herself. She's from Mercer Island, Washington. Attends the University of Oregon. She's a rising senior there. And we talk about NIL in the United States, the deals that the athletes now get because they can be representatives of themselves. She's got one with the supermarket brand Sprouts, which is a very good supermarket company.
Sprouts, I've never heard of it.
It's a West Coast thing.
All right, well, have you heard of Market Basket?
I've never heard of Market Basket.
Well, it's an East Coast thing.
Okay. Tit for tat. I like it.
Tasha Friedman will play the free kick from deep in her own end. Plays it long. Nicely controlled by the United States. Good flick from Taylor Cohen. She goes long, and the ball just out of reach of Rachel Dillette down the right wing. Get a good look at Dillette there, our player to watch.
Presented by 76 Capital, of course.
Dillette from Whitefish Bay, Wisconsin, and she went to school at Wisconsin, so a Badger all throughout her growing up. That ball goes out of bounds off the Israelis, and it'll be a throw-in for the United States. So we saw 2 strikes within 10 minutes from Maggie Lena. Other than that, no major chances since the 18th minute, which is when Lena notched her second goal. Here comes the Israelis in the right side of the box. Left foot shot on goal by Roni Levy, easily controlled by Mika Fisher.
Fisher, of course, a freshman All-American at Amherst College. She was named to the D3Soccer.com All-Third Team in her debut season. Less than a goal allowed, 15-2-2 record.
That's impressive for a freshman. See how much she gets tested tonight. Into the corner, nice hustle from Dalit. She boots it off the Israeli defender, and it'll be the 3rd corner kick of the evening for the United States. Noah, if you're Jeff Katz, do you like what you're seeing so far?
Oh, absolutely. The fact that you're up 2-0. We haven't even hit the 45-minute mark as well. You really like to see the attack, the fact that the United States has had the ball in the opposing zone for much of this match, and then the Israeli chances, good defending by this back 4 line of the United States.
So I was mistaken. It was actually a throw-in, a little bit obscured vantage point down the line, and United States shot sails wide of net, so it'll be a goal kick for the Israelis. Back heel flick by Israel gets controlled by the United States. Friedman up to play it. Ball coming right towards us. And that nailed one of our cameras. Don't worry, we're all good.
Yep, that's our camera guy, Dylan Manfre. He's giving us the thumbs up, and we're ready to continue. Very quickly, as a matter of fact.
On the far side, the Israelis still looking to generate some true offensive chances. Seems like every time they get the ball, there's pressure waiting for them. That time a ball gets through. Friedman cleared it. Couldn't tell if it hit the official maybe.
That's what I thought it was, and that's why the play was blown dead.
Yeah. So it'll be a drop ball, which is basically a way to restart play when something inadvertent happens, like the ball hitting the official. Ball in the midfield controlled by Israel. That's Arezi with it. She plays back to her defender and all the way back. The Israelis will restart their attack. The through ball down the left wing, looking for Nekev. Nekev tracks it down and earns a corner kick for the Israelis. So nice hustle there by Shachar Nekev.
Yeah, Tasha Friedman closing in, making sure that Nekev couldn't even get a chance to cross that ball into the box, but Israel getting a chance at another corner.
Got a good look there at Nekev. This Israel squad has a lot of players who have played together for a good amount of time. A couple players who flirt with the national team a little bit. Get some opportunities there. Here's a deep corner. Headed down and into the hands of Mika Fisher. Fisher plays it fast to Dillette. Dillette with the ball at her feet.
Yeah, Nakov not getting a good chance at that header off the corner kick. And that's the reason why the United States has this throw in from the far side.
Yeah, that throw in right in front of the United States bench. These teams can have 20 players on their roster, but only 17 active each game. Here's Lena looking for the through ball, gets intercepted by the Israeli defense. The U.S. with control on the near side. Nice run from Jordan Snyder. She's tripped up, no call.
So we see Taylor Cohen once again on the ball, Noam. She's had a great touch. She was part of the fact that Lena was able to score that second goal as well, way back when.
U.S. again looked for that through ball. Couldn't get it to Lena, so Israel will control. 2-0 here. 36th minute now. This game between Israel and the United States is brought to you by Campus Apartments. Campus Apartments, the student experience is built here. Thanks for joining us, Noam Watt, alongside Noah Friedman and Evan Kamikow, manning the sidelines tonight. A long ball down the right wing for the Israelis, taken into the hands of U.S. control and cleared out of bounds by Mika Fisher.
Yeah, I think, Noam, as we've seen this game play along here later into this first half, Israel trying to get a little bit of pressure here on this United States defense. We've seen them have the ball in their zone a little bit more here as this first half has gone along.
Definitely, and down 2-0, they have to start generating chances because we know this United States defense can be suffocating. They're really going to vie for that goal in the first half so that they don't go into the halftime break with a 2-goal deficit. Israel earns another corner. It'll be their third of the evening. See Jeff Katz manning the sidelines there. No long sleeves yet for Jeff. Maybe we'll see him come out in the second half. Left-footed cross deflected easily by Rachel Dallett. Dallett's a forward, but we're going to call her name a lot on defense. She's been back in the mix a bunch on the defensive side.
And here we are, Noam, seeing one of those two ways to defend that Coach Katz was telling us about. That was definitely a trap because they were in the corner.
Yeah, Jeff Katz ideally likes to play with his left back pushed up a little bit, trying to get involved offensively, but so far haven't seen a ton of that. Ball played to the far side by Israel.
I think another reason, too, Noam, why the United States has 2 goals on the board is Israel is only going with a back 3 net right now. It seems like an adjustment. They really want to get a goal before the half.
There was a shot that whistled wide. So Mika Fisher will have another goal kick. Fisher in all yellow with the Maccabiah banners behind her. See this Maccabiah design all over the city of Jerusalem, even on the big walking bridge in downtown. They project the design onto that bridge every night. It's pretty cool to see.
Yeah, we had a nice dinner, our Maccabi media team last night, so I was actually able to see that banner for the first time.
Ball chipped in. It's going to roll wide. As Jordan Snyder collects and boots it down into the feet of the Israelis. There's a shot blocked by Snyder. Nicely done by Snyder. Not allowing Arezi to get anything even remotely close to the net. Goalkeeper for Israel way out of her own net. Dangerous touch. A lot of pressure being applied by the Americans. That's Taylor Cohen. Relentless, relentless, relentless. Just constantly keeping the pressure on.
Yeah, and I think if you have to name an MVP right now for Israel, it's got to be Noam. She's the one who's really kept Israel from having any sort of chance for the game to be broken wide open.
Here is Attal with the ball, wearing number 20. She makes a long feed down the left side, but instantly pressured as the ball goes out of bounds. That pressure applied by Shayna Salas. Nice touch from Israel, but easily taken away by the United States. Ball played back into the midfield. Flicked up forward, just a little too much speed on it for Cohen to track it down. It rolls to the feet of Amit Bailan. She plays to her defender. Defender comes cross field near us. It's Attal again.
Yeah, Israel playing with fire right now. We just saw that about a minute ago. Bailan playing way out of her box.
Yeah, and like you said, seems like they're pulling their defenders, their back line up a little bit, just playing 3 defenders in the back. I mean, that's a risky strategy. High risk, high reward. It means they have more players to attack offensively, but fewer that'll stay behind for defense against the American attack. Tasha Friedman, ball at her feet. She's going to play it back to the goalkeeper. Ball's booted up. Taken touchdown by Taylor Cohen. A little bit of a collision in the midfield. And Israel retains possession. A lot of back and forth ball. A lot of ball in the sort of middle 40 yards of the field in the last few minutes. Both these teams really fighting for position. There's a ball that gets into the box, driven low and hard and collected by Mika Fisher. So the United States gets a little bit of a break. Ball drifted to the feet of the Israelis for a shot on goal.
Yeah, Kayla Ross and Natalie Landau got a little bit mixed up on that ball that came through, and that was the reason why Israel was ready to have their best chance of the game so far.
That was Roni Levy, had a strike. Good lane to shoot, but taken easily by Mika Fisher, who's looked solid. She's looked comfortable. She doesn't seem to be forcing the issue too much.
No, she doesn't, and her head coach at Amherst, Jen Hughes, said that she remains unruffled even in stressful situations, and right there, that couldn't have been more of a stressful situation when your back line collapses. She was able to come through and be the last line of defense.
Absolutely right about that. Final 5 minutes of play. Now, granted, our clock isn't exactly spot on, so you might hear the whistle either a little before it reaches 45 or a little bit after.
And to Noah, one of the things that we've seen is that there's been hydration breaks, but because the game got started an hour late, no hydration breaks in the first half or the second half. We're just playing straight through the 45 and the 45 plus added time.
Maggie Lena gets thrown off the ball on the far side, but the United States still manages to fight for possession of it. Tasha Friedman Seems like she has a propensity to clear the ball. Ball gets to her feet. She quickly makes the decision. I'm going to play it up. I'm going to get it out of the zone.
Tasha, the oldest player on this team at age 27, has been through the ringer a bunch of times. She's really shown right there why she's one of the leaders on this team.
You saw Salas get taken down there. Again, no call. Haven't seen a lot of calls so far. Granted, the play hasn't been extremely physical just yet.
Yeah, I thought we were going to get that early, Noam, with everything going on, but so far it seems like both teams have had just enough space to create their own chances. We'll have to see in the second half if either of these teams will tighten up their formations, Israel especially being down 2 goals.
Israel with it. See if they can generate a chance or two more. Instead, they turn it over. It's Magdalena. She gets dispossessed. Nice play by Noam again, the center back for Israel. Now here come the Israelis on the counter. They give to the midfield. Give and go. But Tasha Friedman's going to win that ball. She's going to let it roll out of bounds. It'll be a goal kick for the U.S.
Referee checking his watch to see how much time is remaining in this first half. We're nearing the conclusion of it, but so far, Noam, the United States very dominant. 2 goals by Maggie Lena, the Santa Monica, California native. Both of them were from outside the box. Both of them very highlight-worthy, and both of them giving the United States a 2-0 lead, and Israel's first 2 goals conceded in this tournament.
Goal kick played right around midfield, controlled by Israel. The host nation again, they won gold back in 2017. Tasha Friedman was on the U.S. team that lost to the Israelis back in 2017. She says this game is going to be about revenge. She's one of the few players who was on the squad in 2017 when they lost to Israel. Brought home the silver medal, but this year they want gold, and they know they can go and get gold.
Yes, absolutely, Noam, especially with the fact that they have a game in hand against Israel. Israel, of course, as we said, played 3 games already. This is their last game in group play. The United States still has to take on Canada a couple days from now. They'll be well rested, especially given the fact that they're up 2 goals right now. And we'll see if they decide to park the bus. We'll see what kind of adjustments that they're going to make in this second half. Evan Kamikow, our sideline reporter, will have an in-depth conversation with Jeff Katz coming out of the halftime break.
Should be hearing the halftime whistle any moment now. Ref continues to check his watch as Israel in control of the ball. They turn it over. It's Natalie Landau with it. Landau continues to make a run, but that's the half. 2 goals from the U.S., both from Maggie Lena. Noah, your quick thoughts on this half.
Yeah, we just saw it a couple of seconds ago. Shahar Nakov, the captain for Israel, she said that as we continued playing on here, but she was looking at the referee and seeing if he would signal for halftime. The body language of Israel right now, they just seem to be blitzed. Like we said, they hadn't given up a goal in 3 games so far, and 2 early goals here for the United States. They need to really talk in this halftime break.
Yeah, my apologies. I thought that was the halftime whistle. The referee literally looked at his watch and blew the whistle, but instead a foul call. And Natalie Landau will take it for the United States. Landau from distance strikes it right into the arms of Amit Bailan. Bailan plays it to the left side. It's Noam Attel again. Attel finds a fellow defender. And Israel in possession in their back third. And there's the halftime whistle. Sorry, I was premature on it. U.S. goes into the break leading 2-0, a pair of goals from Maggie Lena in the 10th minute and in the 18th minute. Noah, now your thoughts on the half.
Yeah, Noam, I just thought that the United States came out, played their brand of soccer like Coach Katz talked about. He said that he wanted to be annoyingly patient with the ball. The United States definitely dominated possession of the ball as well. For Team Israel, they had a couple of chances throughout that first half, but the United States back four really got into them, and this is why the score is what it is at this point.
2-0, United States leads Israel as we enter halftime. This soccer game between the United States and Israel is brought to you by Evolution Health Group. Evolution Health Group, we have evolved. We'll talk to you in just a few minutes. Thanks for watching this broadcast Maccabi Media, you're watching Open Women's Soccer from Jerusalem, Israel. Talk to you soon.
A special treat was in store for Israeli, American, and Canadian baseball players today as Israel World Baseball Classic head coach and former World Series champion Ian Kinsler hosted a mini clinic in Ra'anana.
Answer questions that they have, try to have a conversation about the game, see if they can learn something. And really, when you have a short period of time like this with a baseball player, you just want to impact them in one way, whatever way that is. Just one thing that they can take from today that they can think about for the future and trying to get better at.
Well, all the athletes want the tips and trades of learning the game at the highest level. Kinsler's main focus for today, going back to the basics, the fundamentals.
We teach them something that's super simple that they never really thought of. And something that they can teach somebody else maybe, or something that can make them just a little bit more consistent. And it's really just about being consistent.
Well, look, it's always good to see American professional ball players, especially a star like Ian Kinsler, a nice Jewish boy, come over and lead Team Israel and participate teaching young kids here in Israel the game.
I want to just have fun and enjoy being out here. We're in a special place in Israel playing the sport we love, so I think that's really just the biggest part, just have fun and always learn, but just have fun out here.
An unforgettable hour for the athletes with one of the best Jewish baseball players of all time. Reporting from Ra'anana, Evan Kamikow, Maccabi Media.
Using education and sport as a vehicle for peace between Arabs and Israelis. That's the mission of the Perez Center in Jaffa. The Maccabi USA Masters 45-plus men's soccer team and their children spent Friday learning about the way that soccer can change lives. They experienced firsthand the programming of the Perez Center and how it can break barriers, teach language, and bring different people together.
In the end, what I found was that we're all the same. You know, they may grow up in a different area, a different culture, speak a different language, but when they're on the soccer field, everyone's the same.
They played games like Schneek, Schnack, Schnook. I jumped in and encountered success, but while all good things must come to an end, the group was ready to move on to soccer activities. Now, each activity has a purpose, whether it's to teach language, create friendships, or build soccer skills. The bottom line is making peace and fostering friendships through sport.
To bring both sets of kids together and use soccer as the tool of peace is pretty incredible.
The Perez Center was founded in 1996 by Shimon Peres, the 8th Prime Minister of Israel. Last year, they engaged 2,000 youth from 26 Jewish and Arab communities. Their program approach can truly open minds and make a difference.
I think mostly being open-minded, like don't just have an opinion about someone without meeting them. Just meeting the other side and trying to play together can really change your perspective on people.
There was fun, there was growth, and there's a blueprint to impact lives moving forward. From the Perez Center in Jaffa, I'm Noam, Maccabi Media.
Good morning, everybody. Zach Gershman joined alongside by Griffin Epstein and Noah Friedman. The team's getting ready to go to the bus for the game. We are going to be bringing you. The organized blue-collar style. When he said he was recruiting his roster, that's what he was looking for in his players. In your hometown of Jerusalem, 3 goals. How awesome is this?
Yeah, it's a dream, you know.
Go get him, folks.
It's a party in the USA.
Yeah, baby, USA.
Yes, sir.
The fact that I'm Jewish, I feel more connected to the land itself. I think that's a really good aspect of Israel Connect.
Welcome to Tel Aviv, one of the most beautiful cities in the world.
It's a list of the people who witnessed the history of the birth of Israel. Really, these are the people who built the country. Not a stranger.
Thank you, donors, because now I'm able to explore Israel and learn a lot more about my heritage.
Here's the second half. Saul Moskowitz, and he scores, puts it into the left post, and he curves it in.
It's really a surreal experience, and what I've experienced so far is definitely once in a lifetime, and I couldn't be more grateful.
The game, now he's back in transition. Olaf again with the ball, drives down, another layup for Olaf.
On behalf of the Open men's softball team, we can't say it enough, but we really thank you for the opportunity to be a part of this this amazing tradition and this amazing program, and hope to be able to do that in the future as well.
I just want to thank the donors for helping make this opportunity possible. We have a number of players who just couldn't have been here if it wasn't for you, so thank you.
Thank you to the donors for making this possible. We're all having a really great trip so far.
Another chance for the United States to go out in front, and it's a goal. It's put in the 74th minute by Jacob Muchnick.
Thank you so much, Maccabi donors. It's a pleasure to be here and compete for the U.S.
Thank you to all the donors and everybody who helped make this amazing event possible.
Back here in Jerusalem, the United States leads Israel 2-0. Here's Evan Kamikow.
Thanks, guys. A couple of changes coming for the United States. Maggie Linas and Shayna Salas will be out to start the second half. They will not be able to substitute back into the game. We'll have more once the lineup gets set. Guys, back to you.
Yeah, Evan, 2 goals from Maggie Lina in that first half. She scored both of the United States goals. Noah, what are we looking for here in the second half?
Well, first of all, it's good to emphasize the fact that there were substitutions. Only 6 substitutions are allowed in group play here at the Maccabi. So Jeff Katz going to his bench early. We'll have to see who he decided to put in. Already I can see Bella Steiner is a new player for the United States. She's a 5'7" freshman forward from Wilmington, North Carolina, and will be attending Wofford. We can get into her story a little bit later in this broadcast should she get on the score sheet.
Field fully doused in artificial light. The sun has made its way past the horizon. It's nightfall here in Jerusalem. The other substitute on for the U.S. is Cassie Chin. She's wearing number 24 for the United States. She actually has the ball on the far side, just lost it. And here comes Israel. Israel loses possession. Header into the box by Bella Steiner. So the two newcomers with fresh legs making plays on the ball early on.
Yep, Salas and Lena out. Steiner and Chin in for the United States. It'll be interesting to see what kind of adjustments Jeff Katz has made to come out of this halftime break. Of course, Israel down 2-0 as well, so we'll have to see if they can get back into this game and make it a little bit interesting.
Yeah, we'll see what adjustments are made by both head coaches. Of course, Jeff Katz for the United States and Erez Belfair for Israel. Belfair showing off his soccer skills with a touch on the far sideline there as he gives it to the U.S. to throw in. We'll have a couple more hits from Evan Kamikow later in the half. A little bit more on Jeff Katz's coaching philosophy. We learned a lot from him in a conversation that we had yesterday. Interesting guy, great head coach, has experienced a ton of success, been a part of a lot of victories at MIT, and now trying to translate that into a gold medal here at the Maccabiah.
Yeah, we had a really in-depth conversation with Coach Katz, me, Evan, and you know him. For about 45 minutes, he talked everything about philosophy, about family, about camaraderie, just everything that goes into becoming a coach here at the Maccabiah. And this is his first Maccabiah experience. As you mentioned, he was the head coach of the Euro Maccabi back in 2019, where his team outscored its opponent 33-0.
Here's Israel on the attack. Ball played into the box. Taken easily again by Mika Fisher. She really hasn't been tested much. One shot on her. But even that shot was a clear lane, no obstructions in front of her. Jeff Katz also told us he has a few dogs, and those dogs love him because he gives love to them. And that's one of his coaching philosophies is you get what you give.
Yep, exactly. He said it means more to our mature players to have no ego. When you give love to your teammates, they give it back. Just a very powerful quote. And early on, just the fact that he has been able to preach his philosophy, to be able to get these women up to par and to play in this short amount of time, it's really remarkable, especially given the fact that Katz, as you mentioned, has such great coaching experience, such ties to the soccer game in the New England area, was a high school coach before he took the job at MIT, where he's currently in his 5th season as the associate head coach, and he's been on that engineer staff since 2014. And another notable nugget on Katz is that his team in 2021, they reached the Elite 8 of their Division III competition.
Yeah, and once they got to Israel, it was all systems go for the United States. They were a part of the Israel Connect program that Maccabi USA organizes, where a number of teams, especially the junior teams and a select few open teams, get to tour around the country of Israel, get to see some of the historic sites, see some of the natural beauty, and also it's their training camp week. So the teams arrive, they'll typically train in the morning and then tour in the afternoon. And Jeff Katz said that this team had an extremely efficient training camp. Yes, there was some conditioning, but mainly it was about acclimating to each other, acclimating to the heat here, and putting some systems in place so that they can play as a team, as a cohesive unit. He also wanted to shout out their educator, Mina, and their tour guide, Daron, who led them through that Israel Connect week. He said it was truly a special experience.
And I think not just for the open women's soccer team, but for a lot of Maccabi teams involved, especially ones that we've chatted with over the course of these few weeks, they've all seemed to be connected by this Israel Connect trip. I mean, just thinking about the positivity that everyone has shown, especially for our Maccabi Media Group to cover teams like weightlifting and wrestling and judo. Like, those teams have had success in this Maccabi. We've seen so many gold medals from the judo team, so many gold medals from the wrestling team as well. Israel Connect is really a program that has changed a lot of lives here.
Jordan Snyder whistled for that foul. But the U.S. manages to get control, and tripped up is Rachel Dallett. The U.S. will have a free kick from their own end. Yeah, main goal of that Israel Connect program is to foster a love for Israel, but also to get to know your teams. And after Israel Connect, after you've strengthened that connection to Israel and to Jerusalem and to Judaism, you get to meet all the other teams that come here to the Maccabiah. Teams from, You know, Israel, Argentina, Chile, Uruguay, Germany, all over Europe, different continents. And you become close with those teams off the field because you have that connection, that Judaism bond. You share a love for the sport. But then when it comes to play on the field, that friendship's out the window. Things get intense. Everybody wants to win. And so friends off the field, high-level competitors on the field. That's sort of the spirit of these Maccabi games.
And even before that, too, Noam, the U.S. team, the Maccabi U.S. team, they all met, all 1,351 of us, in an amphitheater at Hebrew Union College on the top of Mount Scopus, and we all performed a bar and bat mitzvah ceremony. There were 3 different aliyahs. It was definitely one of my favorite moments of the trip so far, just being able to be connected with all of these folks.
Here's Landau. She plays a ball that's headed out of bounds. Maybe controlled just before it went out of bounds. It'll be a throw-in for the United States. Nice hustle from the Israelis to prevent a corner kick. So instead of throw-in, again, throw-in's a point of emphasis. Here it's Molly Kessler who will take it.
Yep, Kessler, an Aliso Viejo, California native over in Orange County. She currently attends the University of Chicago, a rising sophomore. Plays defense there, but we've seen her more in a utilization right and left wing combination for Jeff Katz's team.
Another throw in for the United States, right near the corner. Again, it's Molly Kessler who will take it. Kessler looking for some options, can't find anybody. Now opts to throw it to the feet of Natalie Landau, but Israel controls. They boot it long. Ball's tracked down by Kayla Ross. She plays Tasha Friedman. Friedman controls and plays it to the right back. Now they look for the long ball up the right side. Israel goalie has to come out and play it with her left foot. She boots it out of bounds, and a little bit of pressure by the United States gets them the possession back as we see a sub coming in for Israel.
Yeah, just before the sub for Israel comes in, it was Dalet who was running up that right side and trying to get in the face of the Israeli goalkeeper, Amit Belin. Just seems like Belin has not necessarily been so comfortable. We've seen her play in so many different parts of the field, Noam. She has left her line so many times during this match, and she's still trying to feel out this United States attack.
Avishag Ice leaves for Israel, replaced by the prolific goal scorer Eden Avital. Again, Avital 4 goals versus Canada in the opener for Israel, and then a goal against Brazil. 5 goals in 3 games so far for Avital.
I'm really surprised, Noam, that Israel has opted to start Avital pretty on in the second half.
Nice clear there from Friedman, stopping any potential Israeli attack. See if Avital can give the Israeli attack a boost. They desperately need it.
And Noam, they really need to produce chances in the opposing half because they have not been able to get anything going, as you've mentioned.
Israel looking to possess right around the 18-yard box. Ball flicked in, and there's the first goal of the afternoon for the Israelis. Rahel Steinschneider gets Israel on the board in the 55th minute. They cut the deficit in half. It's the first goal the United States have conceded thus far.
Yeah, you took the words right out of my mouth, Noam. We'll take a look here on the replay. It's a great ball in by Avital, already making an impact, and Steinschneider is able to put the ball in the back of the net, beating Fisher. I mean, you talk about a super sub. I'm not entirely sure why Israeli coach Erez Belfour decided to wait until the second half to sub on his best player in Avital, but right away, within the first 2 minutes of her being subbed on, she has an assist on the board, and Israel down 2-1.
Yeah, I mean, part of it might be that Avital is gassed. Again, 3rd game in 3 days. Maybe try and save some of her energy for the big second half push. And, right on cue, she made an impact. A great pass into the box, finished off by Steinschneider. And the lead is now just 1 for the U.S. Steinscheider's second goal of the tournament. She had a goal against Argentina.
And now, Noam, this makes it a little bit more interesting for both teams here. How do Jeff Katz and Erez Belfer adjust here with the game now being a one-score game?
I mean, if I'm the U.S., I can't be content just sitting back and parking the bus anymore, because you really got to go up 2 goals again. You know, 1 odd man rush, 1 breakaway, and this game could be tied up. And there's a lot at stake. If the United States wins this game, they take first place heading into the medal rounds. Top 4 teams will advance, so 4 out of the 5 teams in the tournament. Right now, United States sitting in second place at 2-0, Israel sitting in first place at 3-0. So, if the United States win, they'll be 3-0 with 9 points, and they'll be tied with Israel. They'll have the tiebreaker and a game in hand. So that would clinch them the number 1 seed in the semifinals.
Yep, as you mentioned, top 4 teams advance. It's a red robin format. The United States still with 1 game left to play. It's going to be a couple of days from now, the 21st against Canada.
Ball played up the sidelines. Looking for Bella Steiner. United States will have a throw-in.
Yeah, Noam, I thought Steiner made an impact early. She had a chance on goal within the first couple of minutes in the second half. So we'll have to see if the young product, the youngest person on this United States Open women's soccer team, can make herself an impact, subbing out for the goal scorer, Maggie Lena.
Yeah, Steiner just 18 years old. That's going to go for a corner kick for the United States. It's going to be their 3rd of the evening.
Yep, we looked at the markup of this roster, Noam. You mentioned Steiner being the 18-year-old, the youngest person on this team, and then you've got Tasha Friedman at age 27. So just a lot of knowledge being shared by these women, and that's why they've been able to connect so well here in the first couple of weeks. And that's why they've been able to produce themselves 2 wins to begin with and trying to be on the verge of a 3rd.
Ball driven in, header goes out of bounds off the head of Dallett. Get a look at Dallett there. Was in position for a header. Got her head on it, but just flicked it past the goal.
Yeah, that was a good corner by number 29, Natalie Landau. Got enough curve on it and just not enough mustard head by Dallett.
Israel, see if they can capitalize off some momentum. They scored the first goal of the second half. That's crucial for them to cut into this lead with plenty of time to go. Still over 30 minutes as you see Jeff Katz giving instructions on the sideline. Still no long sleeves for Katz.
I'm very surprised by that. Probably the most disappointed I've been so far during this match. And Noam, just my early thoughts here. I really think that the substitution of Eden Avital for Israel has really given them a jolt. I mean, first half we really didn't see a whole lot from the Israelis in terms of the attack, but so far they've been able to do just fine trying to attack the back 4 of the United States.
I agree. A jolt is exactly the word I was going to use, and maybe they needed a halftime break to reset. You know, a little bit of adversity getting here, hour and 10-minute bus ride, hot evening, not a lot of time to warm up, so maybe halftime was what they needed to reset, and then they put their superstar in, immediately score a goal, and claw right back into this game.
Also, just for the viewers at home, you can't see it right now, but the sunset is absolutely fantastic.
Israel was looking for a combination play to feed Avital, couldn't find her, so the U.S. clears all the way down to Shani David, who gives it to her goaltender, Amit Bailan. Bailan goes to the left wing. That's Noam Atel. Plays it to midfield. On the far side, a run by Israel. They maintain possession. See if Israel can string together some chances and see how the U.S. counters. Here's a ball flicked back to Avital. Eventually, ball floats to the feet of the U.S. defenders, and they clear their line. Ball chested down by the United States. Landau's tripped. Ref says, get up and play on.
And one of the Israeli defenders is just getting up now.
I believe that's
her line.
I believe that's Noam.
You'd be right.
So Rachel Steinschneider got the scoring started in the second half, opened the book for the Israelis. It was the first goal the United States conceded. It cut the lead from 2-0 to 2-1. And since then, it's been Israel that seems to have a little bit of momentum, trying to score again and tie this one up.
Yeah, Noam, we talked about the fact that the United States is playing back-to-back games, and only 17 of 20 players are allowed to dress. It just seems like Jeff Katz has some more options here in terms of going to his bench. We'll see when he's going to be able to do that here in the 62nd minute. So we'll see what more adjustments that the MIT product can make for his team.
Israel playing it on their back line. They look for a run. Now they have the ball on their offensive end. Looking for Eden Avital, who's the engine that makes everything happen. But here comes the United States on a counter. Ball played into the middle. Quick shot, one-timer from Bella Steiner, saved with a dive to her right by Amit Bailan.
That was a great effort by Dowlett, being able to maintain control of the ball as it was going off of one of the defenders. She played the ball in to Steiner, and Steiner shot the ball just a little bit too early. She maybe should have gotten one more touch on it before flicking it in for a goal, but right now we say 2-1.
First true chance of the second half for the U.S. as the ball drifts out of bounds. Noah, no captains on this U.S. squad, and that's a coaching decision that's deliberate by Jeff Katz. For more on that, here's Evan.
Thanks, Noah. One of the big things that Coach Katz talked to us about was, you're right, captains. There's none on this squad. Typically, a captain, in my opinion, on this squad would be your elderman in Tasha Friedman. However, in his experience, Jeff Katz said that captains are, well, a word that I can't really say on air, otherwise I might get fired. And that he agrees with an all-around leadership so that everybody makes sure that everyone else is held accountable and everybody on this team is a captain.
Yeah, it's a great point, Evan, because team camaraderie is everything, and these girls, they all play at different schools, at least most of them do, and they'll have captains at their schools. And Katz talked about how he didn't want to make an emphasis on telling other teams what to do, so that's why he chose not to give captains out during this Maccabi campaign.
Kessler with it. She feeds to the midfield, and now back to the defensive line. Go the Stars and Stripes. It's Kayla Ross. Left-footed, boot up, and eventually controlled by Israel. And Jeff Katz believes in leadership training. You know, ask the players to name someone in their life who's a role model for them. And ask them, why is that person a role model for you? Then he turns around to them and says, you can be that person. You can be that role model for someone else on this team. And so instead of having, imagine on a college team, imagine having a 22-year-old as a captain. No, instead he's going to make a leadership training opportunity. He's going to say to that 22-year-old, you can be a role model for the 18-year-olds and make every 22-year-old on the team a leader instead of just picking a select few to be captains.
Right. We mentioned how Katz is a fifth-grade teacher as well during the school year, and he talks about how his coaching goes into his teaching and his teaching goes into his coaching. And it's good to see because coaching is basically teaching, but within the game of sports. But one of the things that I found to be very interesting was that Ohad Yahalom, who's a member of the Open Men's team, was actually a student of Jeff Katz's in the fifth grade calendar year at the Baker School. So just more interesting connections.
There's a long shot with the left foot by Israel. Floats over the net. That was Asia Durskin. She has 2 goals against Argentina. You get another look at that shot. no real threat as it was sailing high of the net the whole time. Evan, a little bit more about Jeff Katz's teaching philosophy?
Yeah, one of the cool things that Jeff does is he originally started giving out Player of the Game and participation trophies. However, that became a little bit too expensive, and he decided to switch things up and do it a little differently. So, what he would do in class is have a lollipop. Anyone who was an exceptional behavior would get a lollipop, and on the soccer field, it was the same thing. An exceptional player the next day, all the teams would vote. He would toss them a lollipop. They'd clap twice and go, "That's sweet, isn't it?"
It sure is, Evan. Thanks for that. See who he hands out lollipops to after this game. But there's a lot more work to be done. 67th minute, United States leads 2-1, but Israel has the ball in their offensive attacking space for much of this second half.
Yep, that's right. We mentioned it. The super sub coming on for Israel, Eden Avital, making an absolute impact, feeding her Israeli teammate, Rachel Steinschneider, who scored that goal. She's got 2 for the tournament, and that's where we are right now, Noam.
Got a good look at right there at Israel's head coach, Erez Belfer. Israel with a number of coaches and managers in their bench.
Some of whom you met right before the start of kickoff.
Yeah, it was a bit of a mad scramble to get to them, but they can have as many managers and coaches as they want. A, they're the host, and B, the commute can't be very far for any of them.
Also, we're looking at the DNA of both of these rosters. As we mentioned, the U.S. only has 20 players. Israel, being the host country, has 27 players on their rosters. So a lot of talent to work with for Erez Belfer. And as you mentioned, Noam, earlier in the broadcast, a couple of them have been chosen to represent the national team as well.
Here comes the U.S. looking for a long through ball. They were hunting for Taylor Cohen, couldn't get it to her. Instead, Israel will counter. Nice touch and a ball played at the far sideline. Israel looks much more comfortable here in the second half. Not only holding the ball for longer, but just doing more with it. It seems like they're playing with more purpose in this half.
Exactly, and Jeff Katz told us about it, the fact that he wanted to keep possession of the ball. Well, the United States did that in that first half. Second half here, Israel has been able to dictate the game. They've been able to dictate the tempo. Tasha Friedman talked to us about it. She said she was expecting a much faster game than the game that the United States got yesterday against Argentina. So we'll have to see what exactly the United States is going to do to try and counteract this Israel punch.
Yeah, that game against Argentina was a 2-0 win for the United States. 2 goals in 5 minutes. The first, Kayla Ross, found the back of the net in the 60th minute, and then Rebecca Rosen in the 65th minute. So right around the time frame we're in right now is when the U.S. pounced and scored both their goals yesterday.
And the identity of this team has shown. Taylor Cohen had a goal the other day against Brazil, and Dallet, as we mentioned, the 2 goals to give the United States their first victory at 3-0. So Jeff Katz, of course, trying to see who can score for the United States, and it just goes to show that right now the United States leading 2-1.
Ball taken in the midfield by Israel. Long ball played down the left wing. Tracked down in that far corner. See if they can get a cross off here. With the left foot, that cross is deflected out of bounds. It'll be an Israel corner, their 4th of the evening.
A very crucial moment in the match here, Noam, with this corner kick for Israel. We'll have to see how the defending that Coach Katz talked to us about plays up here for the United States back line. And right now, as it stands too, Noam, the United States 9 points, Israel 9 points, but the United States would have the head-to-head, as you mentioned.
Yeah, that's if the game were to end right now. That would be our final score. And that would be the point standings as well on the table. Here's a corner whipped in. Goes long. Still no control by either side. Eventually tracked down and booted just wide of the goal and into the fence behind the net. by Eden Avital. Get a good look at her there, number 10, traditionally the number that the best player on a soccer squad will wear.
The Messis, the Maradonas, everybody who wore number 10 throughout soccer is a legend.
Yeah, Noam Watt in his 6th grade days also wore the number 10.
Oh, look at that.
Ultimately didn't end up as a Messi or a Maradona, but I dabbled a little bit in the day.
Oh, you might be an Al Michaels. We'll see. And just wanted to make note to Noam, Emily Ribbett came into the game for the United States, a defender 5'4". She graduated. She was a Wesleyan product from Brookline, Massachusetts, somewhat near your hometown of Lexington, no?
Yeah, just up the road. 3-year captain at Wesleyan as well.
She was also a member of that 2019 European Maccabi team. So another player that Coach Jeff Katz has familiarity with.
Nice flick there by Steinschneider. Good pressure, though, by the U.S. defense leads to an obstructed shot and an easy diving save from Mika Fisher.
Yeah, Israel is absolutely turning up the heat right now in the United States. This is just a different brand of football that the Israelis are playing here. Whatever the second half adjustment that the head coach of Israel, Erez Belfour, made, it's working out right now. Israel is trying to cling back and make this a tie game.
73rd minute here in Jerusalem at the Kraft Family Sports Campus. Thanks for tuning in to this game between Israel and the United States. Reminder, it's brought to you by 76 Capital. 76 Capital, shaping the future of sports. Jeff Katz very active on that far sideline, constantly coaching.
We have another substitution to make note of here as Eli Shalom has checked into the game for Israel as well.
She's wearing number 11 for the home squad. I guess technically this is a neutral site game, but being as we're in Jerusalem, we can call Israel the home squad.
Yeah, this country, Noam, has been such great hosts to us. Just from everybody around the world, everybody's been so hospitable. The food has been absolutely incredible. The scenery, we talked about it on our Israel Connect trip. We went to places like the Dead Sea and Masada. Just amazing culture here in this country. It's my first time here. I know it's not your first time, but just the absolute beauty that Israel holds is something that I'll never forget here on my first trip.
There's a long ball played and taken by the United States defense. We also had a special visitor at the opening ceremonies. President Joe Biden made his first trip to Israel as the President of the United States. He visited with some members of the United States delegation, talked to them before that ceremony, and then watched the U.S. team march in, which was a very special opportunity for the 1,300 some odd of us that are part of this United States delegation. The largest U.S. delegation and the largest delegation in this Maccabiah as well.
Yep, chaired by one of our fearless leaders, Lou Moyerman. And just got to give shout-outs to people in our Maccabi media program as well. Mark Zumoff's our chair, Neal Slotkin, our program coordinator. Simon Rosenwasser is our executive producer on this broadcast and has been the executive producer on every single stream that anyone has seen Maccabi media put on. We have coverage from around this country, Netanya and Haifa as well.
Good speed from Molly Kessler. She plays the ball in. Nobody home, though. But a good effort down the left side from number 18 in Navy. More substitutes coming on for the United States as we're into the 75th minute.
Yep, looks like Kessler is going to check out for the United States. Sorry to cut you off there, Noam. Also looks like Bella Steiner is going to make way too.
My math is right. Final 15 minutes means we have about a sixth of the game left to play. But this is why I'm in sports media and not math.
I was told there would be no math. Cici Munoz is one of the players who checked in for the United States. She's a 5'4" senior, plays forward at MIT. For Jeff Katz, one of two players on the roster who play for Jeff Katz. She wears the number 7.
There she is. Good look at Cici Munoz. She visited Israel for the first time on a birthright trip right before COVID hit. So got that trip in, and then the world was shut down, as we all know. But now she's back playing for the United States in this Maccabiah.
And if she wasn't smart enough, Noam, she's majoring in mathematics, and she also has dabbled in computer science.
Yeah, so that question about which sixth of the game are we in right now, we can direct to CC.
We'll have to ask her after the game if we got it right.
Rachel Steinscheider found the back of the net in the 55th minute for Israel. That cut the deficit from 2-0 to 2-1. Since then, no major chances for either side, setting up for an exciting finish here in Jerusalem. There's a ball played into the box, and now here's Steinscheider again. Takes a shot with the right foot, blocked in the box, and cleared by Tasha Friedman, who gets a nice round of applause from the smattering of fans surrounding us.
Yep, that's just veteran presence once again. Tasha Friedman doing a great job of killing the back line, being one of the last lines of defense for the United States.
Here's Israel again putting the pressure on. They control back. And taken down just outside of the 18-yard box is Eden Avital. It'll be a free kick for Israel in a dangerous spot.
Noam, you took the words right out of my mouth. And who is it again? It's Eden Avital, the super sub. We're just going to call her that from now on because she didn't have any action in the first half. Good ball in from the Israelis. And that effort goes wide. But like you said, Noam, this is just outside the 18-yard box. A good set piece for Israel could produce a devastating result for the United States. A very crucial point in the game as we take a look again at the replay of Landau taking down Avital right outside the box.
Yeah, definitely the right call. So the United States being marked off by the official where they can set up their wall. We'll see who takes this for Israel. Definitely a scoring opportunity. Say 22, 23 yards out from the net.
Thank you for using the correct term that they use in this country with the metric system.
You're welcome. Looks like Stav Arezi will stand over the ball. She fires high, and it's into the back of the net, and this game is tied. Stav Arezi ties this game up with an absolute laser.
Yeah, Noam, perfectly placed by the Israeli player right there. No chance for Mika Fisher to save that. Perfectly put. Look at the arc of that ball. Goes in. Fisher only standing at 5'8". That ball went about 5'10", 5'11". And Israel leveling this match at 2. We've got a very interesting 10 minutes left plus added on time here, Noam, to determine who goes top of the group, because right now, as it stands, Israel will hold the advantage.
We have seen 4 magnificent strikes so far tonight. That one might be the best. A free kick from about 22 yards away. She drove it high, past the outstretched arms of Mika Fisher, and we are tied. This Israel team is relentless.
Yeah, I don't know what it is about the first half versus the second half, but just to coin the phrase, it's night and day, and you literally saw it. We started this broadcast at 7 p.m. local time. The sun was still out. Israel didn't come to the party necessarily, and there were a bunch of factors that contributed to that as they go out on this attack.
And what's most surprising to me is that Israel seems like the fresher team right now. Their third game in 3 days. They're playing with all the energy, all the passion, all the momentum here in the second half, and they've capitalized with 2 goals.
Yeah, Erez Belfer has pushed all the right buttons. He has outcoached Coach Katz right now in this second half, and that's why we're where we are right now, level at 2.
See how the United States responds from this adversity. Landau plays it to the near side, looking for Dalit. Dalit tracks it down, feeds her back defender. That was Maya Sholnick into the game wearing number 6. But here's Israel with it again, looking to take their first lead of the night. We're tied at 2. 81st minute here in Jerusalem. Thanks for joining us. Noam Watt with Noah Friedman. Evan Kamikow down manning the sidelines for us. Exciting matchup here, just what we expected. High quality soccer between these two teams that stand at the top of the table in open women's soccer in the Maccabiah.
And just to reiterate, this game can end in a draw because we're still in the group stage. The United States, as we mentioned, still has one more game left on its schedule, taking on Canada on the 21st of July here in Jerusalem.
I'm sure the U.S. would love to avoid a draw. They'd love to clinch the number 1 seed in semifinal play. Nice flick by Landau, but then turns it over, and Israel will counter. 4-on-4, long ball, cross field. Tracked down by the Israeli attack. Looking to cross it, instead plays it short. Pressured and cleared by the United States defense. And now Israel will play back to their goaltender. That's Amit Bailan. She has not been tested in the second half. See if she gets tested here. Nice slide tackle. Play made on the ground, much to the chagrin of the United States fans, by Maya Hietman. But Israel continues with possession. The feed, and back for the shot. Saved by Mika Fisher. Another shot on goal, though, for the Israelis, who seem to be racking them up in recent minutes.
Yep, that was the substitute, Healy Shalom, who came on. She had enough chance in space inside the box to get a shot off, but it was right in the breadbasket of Fisher.
United States defense plays the ball safely out of play. Actually over the fence there on the far side of play. New ball gets thrown into play.
Yeah, Noam, these last 10 minutes are very crucial for the United States if they want to get any momentum. As we mentioned, they still have one more game to play, but we'll have to see, because this effort that they're producing in the second half is nothing like the first half, where they were playing much more freely. They had more ball possession. They had more communication. The Israelis, however, have capitalized on that halftime break and have come out. They've pushed the ball a lot more down in the other half of the United States, and that's why we're where we are at 2.
Yeah, you have to wonder if Jeff Katz would like to redo the substitution where he took out Maggie Lena. She scored both goals for the U.S. in the first half. They went into the break with a 2-0 lead. Maybe he thought they could go without her, save her a little bit, rest her legs, but now they've struggled to generate any offensive chances without her on the field. Pressure put on by the United States attack that forces the goalie to just boot it high out of bounds over the United States bench.
Yeah, and a name that we really haven't mentioned a whole lot in this second half is the Israeli goalkeeper, Amit Bailan. She was tested a bunch during that first half, but the United States, like you mentioned, Noam, has just not been able to generate the kinds of attacks that they were able to generate in that first half.
There's a ball played by Bailan to the U.S. They had momentary control, but then committed a foul, sending Noam Atel to the ground. No cards so far in this game. Seen some physicality, but no real chippiness.
We just got a yellow card here.
Actually.
Yeah, you read the mind of the referee.
See what the United States does to try and generate some chances here. Maybe put on a little more pressure, try and empty the tank. They don't play tomorrow, so they'll have a day to rest before that final group stage game against Canada. U.S. is guaranteed a spot in the next round. They'll be one of the 4 teams moving on to the semifinals, but Israel still looking to push. Back heel ball flicked in. Nice spin move before the ball is turned over by Avital. So here comes the U.S. Trying to get that through ball, but Israel's defense not letting anything get by. Well done there from Arezi. Here's Steinscheider. Goes to the left corner with speed. Pressure maintained, but spin move gets into the box. A shot on goal. Just misses. Wow, that was another quality chance for the Israelis.
Yep, just out of the reach of Mika Fisher there. Working that left flank. Left-footed shot. Fisher tries to go for it, but the angle just too far to that right post didn't curve enough.
Rachel Dallett gets taken down. Evan with more.
Yeah, right before Rachel got taken down, Coach Jeff Katz just screamed to them, bring the energy, bring the energy. That's something that the United States has been missing since, I would say, pretty early in the second half. They haven't had a lot of energy. Time is running out. Again, this game could end in a draw, but they have to bring the energy here down the stretch.
Thanks, Evan. That's right, they do. And not a lot of time left to do it. Under 3 minutes to play here in regulation. Again, our clock not exact, so hang with us. We'll see what the referee decides to do. Israel just dominating possession here in the late stages of this match. Nice cross inside. Ball into the middle. Shot. Score! Israel takes the lead. And who else but Eden Avital, her 6th goal of the tournament. And Israel leads 3-2. What a comeback. 3 goals in the second half, just stunning the United States.
Avital running into the box. She's unmarked. Probably going to be the easiest goal that she scores in this tournament. Of course, we hadn't seen any of the previous 5 that she'd scored, but she is definitely going to win the Golden Boot if that exists for this tournament. She goes into the box, as we mentioned, unmarked. It's just one-on-one, her versus Fisher, and just a very overwhelmed Fisher, unable to get any sort of pressure in order to get that ball from Avital. Israel on top 3-2.
What a stunning comeback. The United States dominated the first half. They had all the chances. They looked like the fresher team, the better team, the stronger team. And then things flipped at halftime. For Israel, Steinscheider opened the scoring in the 55th minute. Then Arezi in the 79th minute. And then Avital, 88th minute, puts the home squad up 3-2. A remarkable turn of events for the Israelis.
Yeah, when you look back on it, of course, there's still a little bit of time here to get an equalizer for the United States, but it's about what could have been. The 2-0 advantage that the United States had to begin the second half, and now 3 unanswered goals by the Israeli national team.
U.S. will have to find some magic here in the very late stages of the second half. They're going to play with tempo. Ball put in play. And now booted long. See if they can chase it down in the box. Controlled and taken out of bounds. It'll be a United States throw-in. That'll be Rachel Dallett. She plays it in quickly. Back to Dallett. And there's the first illegal throw-in violation of the day. And we know that will not please Jeff Katz, who spends a lot of time drilling into these players. No mistakes on throw-ins.
And just to point back on that last possession before the throw-in, Opal Sofer was the defender who was back there for the Israelis, who was able to prevent that attack that the United States just had.
Dallett boots it in with the right foot, cleared by the United States. They're going to have to push this back line up. Tasha Friedman instead plays back to her goalie. It's Mika Fisher. She plays it back to Friedman. Friedman turns, makes a move, gives it up to the Israelis. See how much longer we have to play. Maybe one more rush if the United States can get possession. Israel will be content to boot it out of bounds. United States quickly puts it back into play. That's Emily Ribet. Into the corner, it's Munoz. Now here's the cross from Ribet. Ball in the box, shot with the left foot. Oh, just wide. Rachel Dallett had a great look. The ball on her left foot. She took a chance, but look at this. Look at this control. Just misses the side of the net.
And if she hadn't been 2-on-1, if she'd only been 1-on-1, what did Jeff Katz talk about? He said that anybody who goes up 1-on-1 against any other team, he said that he liked his chances, but it was 2-on-1 there and not enough time for Dalit to have any sort of chance to score.
United States counterattack called off for an offside. That chance from Dalit might have been the last golden opportunity for the United States. Our clock reading 92nd minute already. See how much more time we have to play here. Here's Israel with it. They go to the right side of the box. Here's Steinschneider. She feeds for a shot on goal that's going to curve wide. The United States has to hustle.
Yep, that's Shalom again. Israel's only made a couple of subs in the second half, and they've both been very good tactically. Hili Shalom and then Eden Avital, of course, as we mentioned, that 88th minute go-ahead goal for the Israelis.
So Fisher puts it back into play. Taken at the feet of Landau. She gives it up. Landau's taken down. No call. We continue to play here past 90 minutes. Israel leads 3-2 in a matchup between the top two teams in open women's soccer in the Maccabi. And there's a foul on the United States. That can't help their cause.
Yep, Noam, if this result holds, Israel will clinch the #1 seed in the knockout round. As we mentioned, the top 4 teams advancing into the semifinals, with the 2 winners taking on each other in the championship game.
Semifinals will be played on Friday the 22nd and the finals on the 24th. So free kick for Israel on the far side. Ball's fired in. It goes wide of the net. It's going to be a corner kick deflected by the United States.
Israel taking their time here, much to the chagrin of the United States fans. This is one of these unwritten rules in soccer that you can take advantage of the time clock as the time goes along here. And it's the referee's discretion on whether or not he wants to add more time or he wants to make this game go by faster.
Yeah, referee giving a whistle there saying put the ball in play. Israel will be content to just hang out in the corner for as long as they can. And there's the final whistle. Israel comes from down 2-0 at halftime, shocking the United States with a 3-2 win. Prolific goal scorer Eden Avital, the game winner in the 88th minute, to give Israel a 3-2 victory and give them the #1 seed in the knockout round.
Yeah, Noam, it was an absolute stark contrast between the two halves. The United States played their tempo of football early. They were able to have possession. They were able to get it in the other half, and they were able to put 2 goals on the board by Maggie Lena in the 11th and the 18th minute. But then the second half rolls around, coaching adjustments made by Erez Belfour, the Israel coach, putting in his super sub, Eden Avital, the leading scorer of this Maccabi, and she made the United States pay. She assisted on the first goal that was given to Rahel Steinschneider, and then comes through unmarked in the box, and she's able to put away the go-ahead goal to give Israel the victory and clinch the top seed for them in this knockout round.
Take a look back at those 3 goals in the second half by Israel. Rahel Steinschneider opened the scoring in the 55th minute on a beautiful play. Falling over with her right foot, she found the back of the net. That cut it to 2-1. Then, in the 79th minute, on a free kick, Stav Arezi, just a screamer that found the top of the net over the outstretched arms of Tasha Friedman. That tied the game at 2 in the 79th minute. And then the player that the United States had nightmares about, Eden Avital, buries it in the 88th minute, giving Israel a 3-2 lead, giving Israel the win, and giving Eden Avital her 6th goal of this tournament. What a comeback it was from Israel. Noah, what went wrong for the United States?
Yeah, I think that just tactically, they started to loosen up a little bit too much. That 2-0 lead that they had going into halftime was definitely a tone setter And then Israel was able to wake up from it. They were able to get over their adversity. As you'd mentioned before, it took them an hour and 10 minutes to get to this field because of issues around the stadium. And they were able to wake up in the second half, the Israelis were. For the United States, they still are in prime playoff position at this point. They'll have one more game under their belt as they'll take on Canada a couple of days from now. And the Israelis will hopefully be awaiting for them if they can make it out of this knockout round of the championship game for a gold medal.
Yeah, look, the reality is in this tournament, these two teams were the clear-cut favorites. It's very likely they're going to meet again in the gold medal game. And look, Jeff Katz's team wanted to be challenged. They ran the gauntlet in Budapest. They crushed teams. They outscored them 33-0 on the way to gold. That's not going to be the case here in the Maccabiah. Today, against Israel, this was a tough battle because Israel came to play. They didn't necessarily seem like it in the second half, but they didn't necessarily seem like it in the first half, but in the second half, they played to their strengths. They played a very offensive-minded attack, and they came away with a 3-2 victory. But like we said, a chance in the gold medal game, presumably. We don't want to count our chickens before they hatch, but a chance for redemption for this United States squad. And really, they can learn a lot from this game because they were tested today, and they're going to have to grow if they want to get back and win a gold medal.
Yeah, a lot of what you talked about is totally true. We talked about it with Tasha Friedman earlier before we got on the team bus with the team. She said that they were expecting a faster-paced game. Well, Israel definitely gave it to them in the second half, but she also mentioned how in the last game against Argentina, they only put up a couple of goals on the board. They underestimated their opponent because Argentina had lost 8-0 to Israel before. And in terms of what they have to go through now, there's definitely some build-up here. Tasha mentioned how the United States had lost to Israel in the gold medal match in Maccabi 2017, in that 20th Maccabiah. And there's going to be a lot of learning lessons from this one because this was definitely deja vu.
It was a tough loss for the United States. You see them cooling down after this one. They'll have a day tomorrow to rest, and then they'll have a match with Canada on Thursday. United States still looking for one more win in group play before they move into the knockout round. Again, those games will be on Friday, the semifinals, and Sunday, the finals. A tough loss for the United States. They opened the scoring early in the 10th minute with a goal by Maggie Lena. Then she scored again in the 18th minute. 2 goals on the day for her first 2 in the tournament. But the second half was all Israel. Rahel Steinscheider, a goal in the 55th minute. Stav Arezi, a goal in the 79th minute. And then the dagger, an 88th minute goal from Eden Avital. She's the player of the game for Israel. Our player of the game tonight, Eden Avital, is brought to you by Campus Apartments. Campus Apartments, the student experience is built here. Eden Avital scored in the 88th minute, her 6th goal of the tournament. She was the super sub, like you said, in the second half.
Yep.
And she is with our Evan Kamikow.
Absolutely changed the game. What was going through your head when you were running out here?
I know my team. I know we are a good team. So I was with a lot of confidence with us, and I want to give power because I see from outside and all the game together. So it's so powerful.
And how does it feel to get the win against a very strong United States team?
To be honest, they are a very good team, and I like the attitude. I like how they play, and it's a good experience for me and for everyone.
Well, good luck the rest of the way, Eden.
Thank you so much. Good luck to you.
Hey, guys.
Again, Eden Avital, the player of the game, brought to you by Campus Apartments. Campus Apartments, the student experience is built here. A goal in the 88th minute for Eden Avital, shocking the United States, shocking head coach Jeff Katz. And now here's Evan with Jeff Katz.
Coach, a tough loss. What went on in the second half?
They were giving us a hard time with their center backs kind of having time and space, but our target forward was kind of chasing back and forth, and we had to sort out how to, basically deal with that problem. Eventually, they switched into a 3-5-2, which is something that this team will prepare for. When it comes again, we'll be ready for it. We'll do something completely different, which hopefully you guys will all enjoy. Yeah, I mean, we have to admit that team was class. Like, they are a class. They are an excellent player, every single one of them. And so, from a defensive standpoint, if you weren't playing perfectly, then you were paying the price. And that's okay, because we've been attacking for 2 straight games. It's time to start defending and getting ready for hopefully Sunday.
And Coach, you just talked to your players. What was the message in the huddle right then?
I didn't talk to the players after the game because they don't need to hear from me right now. They spoke. Tasha spoke to the team and said, now we take care of our bodies. Now we get ready. We got 1 day, and we got to prepare and put it behind us. Short memory.
Thanks so much, Coach.
Thank you.
Guys?
Yeah, Evan, that's right. Short memory for the United States. They have a day to recover tomorrow. Maybe watch some film, go over what went wrong, break it down, and then back to it on Thursday against Canada. Noah, your closing thoughts.
Yeah, what Coach Katz talked about was absolutely on the money. I noticed it too. They switched to a 3-5-2, the Israelis did, so they only played 2 players in the back, and were definitely utilizing their attack moving forward into the United States half. I thought that it was just a brilliant move by the Israeli coach, Erez Belfour. I mean, like I said, the fact that they were able to get 2 goals to start and spot Israel those 2 goals, I mean, Coach Katz talked about it. It was absolute class. He mentioned how in our pre-interview, he said that he and his team had beaten their Budapest opponents with class 33-0. Well, Israel took it to them tonight and beat them with class 3-2. So, like we said, it's not really a do-or-die situation at this point. There's still 1 more game to play, but this is really good bulletin board material for this team. He mentioned how Tasha was able to speak with the team afterwards, and she was the exact voice that this team needs. So going into the knockout round, the United States should be in very good position, and they'll have an absolute force to reckon with.
United States jumped out to a 2-0 lead in the first half. They looked like they were in control, but the second half, the tides changed. Steinscheider, Arezi, and then
Avital,
the hero, Avital, who we just named the player of the game. She scored in the 88th minute, gave Israel a 3-2 lead, and sent us home, the U.S., with a loss. For our production crew, Zach Gershman, Dylan Manfre, Neal Slotkin, and our producer, Simon Rosenwasser. Thanks to Evan on the sidelines, and thanks to you, Noah. This was a blast. Hopefully the next time these 2 teams match up, the result goes the other way. We'll talk to you soon. I'm Noam Watt, signing off from Jerusalem.